Well, hello, everyone. This is John Byrne with Poets and Quants. Welcome to our coffee chat featuring the Gies College of Business at the University of Illinois. We're going to tackle the college search process. Everyone knows that it can be an exciting and sometimes overwhelming time for students and their families. So we're going to talk to the head of admissions at the Gies College of Business, as well as a current student and an alum who is working near Chicago to discuss how you can find the right academic experiences and community where you can thrive. So let me introduce our panelists first. We have Kelly Jansen, the Director of Admissions. Hi, Kelly.
Hello, thanks for having us.
You can tell her right away because in the background you can see all those banners for the school, and obviously she's in her office. We have Kayla Gonzalez, who is a senior about to graduate, has a great job already waiting for her at Mars, the candy company, and she is studying supply chain management and marketing. And we have an alum from back in 1983, a banker entrepreneur, a partner in commercial banking at American Commercial Bank with 1.1 billion in assets, Dean Stork. Welcome, Dean.
Thank you.
Let's start off with Kelly with a basic question. How can families support their students in the college decision-making process? You read all about helicopter parents and parents being maybe too involved these days. I wonder what, from your standpoint, is the right level of involvement and how you can be supportive, but not, I guess, aggressively so.
Yeah, absolutely. So I appreciate the opportunity to be able to have this conversation. Last year was an interesting year. I've been the director of admissions here for 5 years now, but last year I had a high school senior in my household who is going through the admissions process. So being able to experience it both from the professional side in my administrative role, as well as from a personal side, has really allowed for us to take a look at how we can best support families and how to encourage them to look at the college search process as a journey from the very beginning up until when they make that final college decision. And a couple of things that I think that are important, when families are first starting to prepare for the college search, is to have some really good conversations with their students on a couple of different levels. One would be to discuss the important factors, as they're, like what they as a student and also, those that are supporting them, feel are really beneficial to look at when you're thinking about schools, but in particular, to be intentional about applications. I think as we're all considering here, and as we've seen with numbers of applications and such across the country, admission is getting more and more competitive. And when you're getting into the realm of applications, that students are opening up and considering more schools than ever before, but also thinking about, are these schools going to be a good fit for you for a variety of reasons? And really thinking about, where do you want to apply and why are you applying to this school? Because if you're applying to a school, but you really have no intent of going, why would you want to put towards your efforts into that application versus some of the other ones that you're truly could find yourself being there? So I think that that's one thing to consider. I also think what's really important now too, as I mentioned, with the college search process, is that it is getting more competitive on different levels because students are applying to more schools. But to be really thoughtful with your student in thinking about how to support them both in their celebration times as well as those disappointments that they might receive. Because the college search process is definitely a roller coaster from when you're submitting applications and you're anxious about decisions and how this roll out. And then when you get your admission decisions, what does that look like? And how are you moving through those emotions and those factors I mentioned before to think about, what is going to be important to you, and to really help prepare the student to be a little bit open to the idea that, while they can have a number of schools that they're truly interested in, that if they aren't admitted into a school that they really wanted to be admitted into, to keep the focus on the schools that they are admitted into and to keep them excited about that final college search and the decision that they'll make, because that's going to give them good momentum to finish off their high school year and to be really excited about the school that they do decide to go to. So I think that those two things are are important to keep in mind as they go through it. And then also last but not least, of course, is to enjoy the process. They're high school seniors, and this is an exciting time for them. And thinking about the next chapter that they could go into in their lives is really, a great stepping stone for both the student and for those that are supporting them. So to help hopefully keep some of the anxieties and worries and that type of thing as minimal as possible, and really just thinking about the types of opportunities and experiences that the student can have and to be excited about their future.
I'm thinking that some of the considerations might be big versus small, urban versus rural, a campus where college athletics are a big part of the life versus one that it might not be, maybe even private versus public, what majors you might be interested in. Obviously, in this case, if you're interested in a business major, one consideration would be, does the university have a direct admit program? Or do you basically do a general admit and then you reapply in your sophomore year for the junior year when a business program may start in some instances? Are those all considerations as well?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think that when, as you said, it's where do you want to start initially, and are you open to those paths? Like here at Gies, we bring students in as business undeclared students as first year students. So they have a couple of years to explore their options. So that is a direct admit. But we also do take students who come in through an intercollegiate transfer. So they start at the University of Illinois and then look to transfer into Gies after their first year. And we also take students who come through the off-campus transfer process as well. So every school has kind of different policies and processes in those regards. But you're absolutely right. I think that size and location are factors. We're looking to yield a freshman class of about 575 to 600 this year. So we're a smaller institution within the larger university, but also, as you said, like what other factors are there? Would you want a bigger school? Would you want something smaller? Location is a thing for some families. Rankings is a big deal, and statistics. So those, are readily available. And I think that's where too, a lot of students, if you're thinking about business schools, some of those outcomes and even academic programs and things, they may look really similar in ways. And so for a student, those components are important, but then also in particular, it's how do you feel? Like what type of community are you looking for? And, how does how can you see yourself growing with these students? How are your interactions with the faculty or the staff or the current students? It's one of the reasons why we certainly connect our students that are admitted and even prospective students with a lot of current students so that they can hear about those experiences. So yeah, absolutely. Those are all important factors, and to do a gut check. Like this time of year, if there are any, high school seniors that are trying to make their decisions between amazing schools, I tell them to flip a coin and close your eyes, flip a coin, see how it lands. And how do you feel about that, right? If you're putting one school on one side and one on the other, that, if you look at it and you think, oh gosh, I think I want to flip this again, that's telling you something. So guiding, those both quantitative as well as qualitative factors, I think are really important for families to consider.
Now, Kayla, it wasn't all that long ago when you had to navigate this journey to a college. How did you end up doing it, and why did you choose Gies Business?
Yeah, that's right. It wasn't too long ago. And I think really to Kelly's point, it's really about, for me, the people and the culture here at Gies Business. That's ultimately why I chose a college, is because I really enjoyed my interactions early on. And I really appreciated the fact that this is a college culture of community. It focuses on people, it focuses on helping each other build each other up professionally and personally. And I saw that from the get-go. Being a senior now in Gies Business, I can definitely attest to the amount of times that I've been supported by, whether it be staff, faculty, students, everyone here in Gies Business really is about collaboration, and it's about building a culture of helping people to succeed and to be really just the most successful that they can be, rather whatever career path they choose at the end.
Were there things that you were surprised by when you first got to campus?
Yeah, I think one of the things that I was surprised by is being in Gies Business, just how early on you're exposed to really high caliber companies and recruiters, and also just the caliber of students that are our upperclassmen here and how willing they are to help you at every stage of your undergrad career here. And so I think just the amount of support at different levels and the exposure to really just excellent opportunities really surprised me here about Gies business.
Now, when you were making your decision, what were some of the things that were important to you?
For me, I think location was a really important thing at the time. I wanted to stay somewhere close to home, and so that was a priority for me. Another that was important for me is just understanding just the support and resources that I would be getting here at the college. And so I was really looking into just various career and professional development opportunities, both when it comes to RSO, so registered student organizations, but also more formal support systems like career services and such.
Right. Now, Dean, you back in 1983 were an accounting major. How did you experience the school, and how did you use the skills that you gained in your education to sort of launch your career?
Well, I want to answer that by saying at the outset, I serve on the Gies Business Alumni Association board. I come back to school and speak. I still have tickets to sporting events. Did I anticipate that when I went to school? No, I mean, you finish high school and now you're going and doing the next thing. It's woven into the fabric of my life in a way I did not anticipate when I started there. The University of Illinois, I majored in accounting. The economy wasn't good when I started college in 1979, and I didn't know what I want to do. So I said, well, I'm going to do that, and I know I'll get a good job. Well, as I went through that, all of a sudden I'm competing with the level of people that when you're in high school, all of the folks that are going to try and get in U of I or go through admission process, they're very bright because they know the standards to get in. I didn't know how bright everybody was until about halfway through the first semester, my freshman year. And honestly, that was one of the greatest experiences of my life. But I learned a skill. And I learned a skill at what at that time was the top rated accounting school in the nation, and still is by many the folks that do those things. But more importantly than just learning the skill, I learned I could do it because I competed with and befriended so many smart people, and we all pulled ourselves up along the way. And the faculty back then, we didn't have modern technology, but there were still times you could go in and meet with people. The support systems were good. They're better today, but it was such a formative part of my life, and it's woven into who I am. And around work now, we have several Illinois people, but they still refer to me as Mr. Illini. So I am so happy with the choice, and I am so happy to give back to the university because it's meant so much to me.
Well, that speaks loudly that so many years later, you have this deep connection with the school, and that when you were a student there, that was cemented, and it created this really lifelong commitment to the university and the business school, which is really terrific. I think, every great college experience does that. You feel part of something that's really special, and it makes you feel special too. And when you speak about the self-confidence you gain, not cockiness, but self-confidence, which is absolutely critical to success in life, no matter what you do. And then I'm assuming that the school helped open the doors for that first job in accounting. Is that right?
Oh, very much so. I think that Kelly mentioned statistics and rankings and all of that. I'm stepping out of my lane here, but it still matters. I mean, getting a degree from Gies Business at the University of Illinois, I know this, our placement rate, there is no school in the entire United States that has a better placement rate for people looking for real jobs in their field than Gies Business. So I don't know how they rank everything. We're as good as anybody. Yep. Let me just say that. But for me, You know, John, I started in public accounting. I didn't know what I wanted to do necessarily, but that I knew that was a great place to learn and figure it out. And you're learning the language of business along the way. I did that for 4 years, and then I kind of morphed slowly into banking, which was a better fit for me. I like being out talking to people. My favorite part of my job is interacting with my clients, serving them. We become friends, and I'm just not the guy that supplies their lines of credit or the money they need. You become a business advisor, and banking set up very well for me there. And it's just, I think everybody that has a career from University of Illinois or anywhere will talk about most that didn't end up finishing doing the same thing they started doing. But U of I set me up beautifully in that I was prepared to follow the path, and then the forks in the road with confidence when I chose to do something different.
That's great. Now, Kelly, since you've been on the other side of this equation, given the fact that you had a high school senior that you had to guide through the process, what did you learn that kind of surprised you now having been on the other side of the desk?
Yeah, I think so I've been in higher ed for 22 years now, and I've been in admissions in a couple of different roles across that timeline. And I think that overall, students are really open to considering all of these types of options. And so, just asking a student, like, what do you want? Having that question sit there's a lot of factors that can come into it, but it's not really pulling out, what we would want, students to kind of think about overall about their college experience. So I learned that if I shifted and I asked my stepson, like, what do you want to experience? We got a different response than what we would if you just would have said, what do you want? And so I think that's important to think about too, where it's, as people who support students all the time, we think about what we would want for them and maybe what they would want, but it's really about what do we want them to experience and what do we want to help them experience? So, I mean, Kayla has been a part of my admissions team now for 3.5 years. So she started with our team as a freshman, and to watch her grow as much as I have and the things that she's been able to experience has been incredible. And to know that if we're able to look at that and not just say, what do you want? Which at the end, as Dean mentioned, well, I want to get a good job and I want to get a degree and move in. It's really about, what do you want to experience? And that helps reshape things and how they see their college time, as well as for the families and those that are supporting, because we're showing that while they may not be able to get everything they want, they're still being able to have these amazing, incredible opportunities. And to watch them grow and thrive in those spaces is fantastic. So I think that was the biggest one, is that, we used to ask just like, what do you want in a school? But no, it's more about like, what do you want to experience? And that also shapes me as the admissions director, when I talk with families and kind of help guide through these processes. That's a bigger focal point than just what do you want out of a school? Because every school has a lot of different things that are similar. Here's what we're really looking for.
Kelly, can I say something?
Yeah, please do.
That was really well said and very on point.
Thank you.
Right.
Thank
It's
you.
about what do you want to experience. And as an alumni going back or thinking about career even, you're still along the way, you're thinking about what you want to experience. And I guess I didn't think about this at the time, but I've done recruiting for our bank, not this bank, but the other bank, and we down at U of I a lot. I will tell you that I'm 60 years old now. And when people talk about where they went to school, I proudly can say the University of Illinois. And in terms of just in the world I live in, it's about credibility and how quick you can get it. It matters. It still matters that you went to the University of Illinois. It really does.
Yeah. And when I hear the word experience, here's what I think. The opportunity to be a leader in something that I'm passionate about. In my case, it was the student newspaper and the radio station and the political science club and the literary magazine. It means being able to walk down a campus and see smiling faces that you know, and you have this incredible sense of belonging. It means making connections with professors who you respect and can be role models for you and literally invite you into their home for something as simple as wine and cheese. And it means having teachers in the classroom who basically motivate and inspire you to go one more step than you might otherwise go. Those are the experience that I think of. Now, when we were off camera, Dean mentioned that the football team had a very successful season when he was there. Yes, so that was a lot of fun.
Very true. You make lifelong friendships.
Yes.
And we're not above reminiscing. It gets brought up. We talk about that year and how fun it was still to this day. Yeah.
And Kayla, I wonder if you were to reflect on the three things that most resonated with you. You're almost through the program. You're going to be graduating in a few weeks. What were the three things that meant the most to you in the 4 years that you spent on campus?
Yeah, the first thing is definitely that just the relationships that I've built here at the University of Illinois, especially with instructors, but my peers, with alumni, all of that has been just really been inspiring to me. The second point is just continuously inspired by the people that I meet and also just the resources that are available to me here. I think that that's always been something that I reflect on and say, wow, how did I get to accomplish that? Or how did I get to this position? Because I'm just mind blown by the opportunities that we have here in the Gies College of Business. And then
Right.
finally, yeah, go ahead.
Oh, go ahead, finally.
Yeah, and then finally, I think that one of the things that I fondly reflect on is just my opportunity to serve and be a leader and give back at this point as a senior. I am so grateful that I've been able to apply all the knowledge that I've gained throughout these past 4 years and just give it away freely, because I know that students on the other side here, will there be perspective or admitted, or my peers here in the College of Business, they all really appreciate any insights. And I think that that's what keeps us growing and evolving as students here.
Now, did you have a favorite course at the Gies College of Business?
Yeah, my favorite course was BADM 420, which is an advanced marketing course. So it's the last course that I take as a marketing major. And I loved it because it was so interactive. The stories that we get to hear from the professors are always the best because they have real experience. And so that is honestly the most remarkable for me, because we got to do activities like, it was like a Lego activity. So you get to exercise your creative side. And just kind of work through a problem of if a customer is entering a store, what are they going to visualize, and building it with Legos. And so it's very simple, like creative thing like that I think is really memorable to me. And also exercise different parts of my brain.
Now, Dean, did you have a highly influential course that you took? Probably one in the county, I would think, right?
Well, accounting was skill acquisition. So I enjoyed some of my professors and classes, but when I got to be a senior and I took some higher level marketing classes, and then I forget what the name of the course was, but we did case studies where you used your accounting skills, but your marketing skills, the business administration, all of the things you had learned. And I just love that class. You get in groups with 3 or 4, and you got to apply all the things you learned, which if your younger folks are listening today and considering a school, you'll get a lot of that now. We didn't as much back then. It was about getting things into your brain and not so much interactive group work. Let's learn from each other. So I really enjoyed that.
Yeah. Now, Dean, I'm assuming that you may have also gone through the process with a child, perhaps going to college. Yes or no?
Actually, no. I had one son, and he was adopted. He was a great athlete. it's not a discussion for here, but he didn't always make the best decisions. He's doing fine now. He could have played, he actually, so I did go through the process, but he was a nationally recruited soccer player and had committed to Maryland actually to play.
Oh, wow.
Illinois doesn't have a men's soccer team. Otherwise, he would have been into that because he loved the Illini. We went to games all the time, but that didn't happen, but he's doing great now.
That's terrific.
Yeah.
Now, Kelly, you mentioned earlier that Gies College of Business will bring in slightly more than 500 students in the freshman class. How many applications do you get in a given year for those 500 plus seats?
Yeah, so this year's application numbers won't be released until later this fall. But last year we had gotten a little over 5,300 applications, and
wow.
So it was a pretty competitive process. I mean, I know, speaking back to what we were talking about the different pathways that students can come into the college, and first year is certainly one of those opportunities. But yeah, it's starting to get more and more competitive based, as the brand recognition grows, as families become more familiar with the opportunities and things that we offer. But we're going to be very excited about this incoming freshman class that's coming up.
So you're basically getting 10 applications for every available seat. What separates the people who get an invite from you from those who are turned down?
So I will tell you that is a question that I get quite frequently. I think that part of what we do, though, is we really just do a holistic review for a student. And there are other universities and schools that admit based upon GPA and test score and that type of thing. And really, when we're looking at our students coming through, I mean, obviously out of those students that apply, a lot of them can be academically and personally successful here at the college. And so that holistic review is something that we would go towards building, our student cohort. So unfortunately, there's not like a secret recipe or a tip to provide of how students are separated out, because a lot of our applicants really are, very successful in all areas of their life. So it's challenging to be able to answer that completely, but to know that, really overall, we're looking for students that, are able to succeed academically, but then also looking to challenge themselves, personally, professionally, and, as Kayla mentioned too, like thinking about the larger community, both at the university as well as, on a worldwide basis.
Right. Let me ask each of you this final question. What's your best advice for a parent who's guiding a child through this process? And what's your best advice for the actual student? Dean, let's start with you.
Oh gosh, for a parent, you got to let them make their own choice, but hopefully you can impart good advice to them, meaning you might go off to some beautiful place in the United States and your kid says, I want to go there because the mountains are here and this and that. And I think as a parent, your job is to kind of refocus and go, wherever you go, you're going to meet great people and have a great experience. So let's sit down and write what you want to get out of this and help keep them focused on the right things. That's a good point. Actually determining what the right things are. Yeah. I just think there's a process you have to go through talking about all of this.
And that's a good point, because, people say you visit a campus on a rainy day and the campus gets thumbs down from the student. Then you visit another campus on a beautiful day and, oh my God, they can imagine themselves walking along the pathways and it's just the weather.
Yep. There's truth
advice for a student.
Yep. Years ago, it's funny you say that. I used to joke with my friends when we're worried about the stock market. I go, what's the weather report for New York today? Because it'll have something to do with how the New York Stock Exchange performs. Yeah. Anyway. And then what was the other question?
The advice for a student.
Oh, actually, I think Kelly said it very well. What do you want to experience? Actually sit down and take out a piece of paper or on your computer and write out what you want to experience and take the time to think about it. I think Kelly's advice was just terrific in that regard.
Exactly. Okay, Kayla, your turn. What's your advice for a parent and what's your advice for a student going through the process?
Yeah, I think that one of the things that I most appreciated about my parents when I was going through the process is definitely just how willing they were to drive hours and hours to many campuses just to visit. So if you guys would be willing to get out to different colleges, definitely take the time to do so. Your student will absolutely appreciate it at the end. And I think my biggest advice to students, it's kind of nuanced, but I think that just start thinking about the problems that you want to solve in this world. Because as a business student, I can tell you that business is all about solving problems. And so start thinking about them and start thinking about how, if business is a passion of yours and you have another passion, how those things align and how you can use your business knowledge to meet that goal at the end of the day. But also start networking early. Once you get onto a campus, don't be afraid to connect with people, rather it be, like I said, upperclassmen, alumni. Just start connecting, have conversations and coffee chats. That really goes a long way.
Kayla, can I say something? That is so astute for a senior in college to understand building your network of people that you like, you trust, and you can help each other is one of the most important things you can do in your career. And you can start that in college. You don't have to wait till you get your first job to do that. That's beautiful to hear. And it's not just about making yourself successful. It's about building lifelong friendships and enriching each other's lives just through your experiences you can share.
True. I can share that my best friend I met in college. And my next best friend I met in college. So it can be a really life transforming experience. I like, Kayla, what you said about thinking about what kind of problems you want to solve, because Lord knows the world has plenty of problems and challenges that will keep everyone very busy for quite a long time. The other thing about the trips and having parents who are willing to get you in the car and drive you long distances to visit these different campuses. I think that's a great way, frankly, for families to get tighter together and for everyone to participate in the decision. And that probably should happen, between sophomore and junior year in high school, and then between junior and senior year in high school, when there's more time, particularly in that first visit, to be just experiencing it as opposed to necessarily, okay, now I got to make a decision. It can be a fun vacation trip, a holiday trip, just a time to get away from life's distractions and, in the grind, and experience something special to set up your child for a successful college experience. Now, Kelly, I want to give you the shot here. What's your best advice to the parents and what's your best advice to the student?
Mine would actually be one that is for both of them. And I think that overall, what we want to respect is where a student is and who they are and where they can go. And so recognizing that, as any family or any support system tries to help a high school student figure out what their next steps are, that, going directly to a university is a good first step for a number of students. For others, it might be going to a community college or a trade school initially. For others, it might be that they're, that college wouldn't be the best fit and maybe they need to start employment right away or something. But I think it's really just about intentional conversations and recognizing in particular, that this is such a formative time in a young person's life that, we may have projections for them as to what we want them to be and where we want them to go. But again, really touching base and keeping the focus on who are you, where do you want to go, and how can we help you get there? And so recognizing that every path might be different than both either the family or that the student has ever imagined. And that's okay. Life is full of nuances that pop up and challenges and changes, but really being able to just kind of trust that journey and allow the student to be who they are and to develop as appropriate for where they are and how that works best for them.
Yep. And I'm going to remind everyone of a popular saying that the journey is more important than the destination. I mean, Dean ended up being an accounting major, and for 4 years he was in public accounting, but then he kind of figured out, all right, I think I could like something else that's going to be different for me, and ended up making an incredibly successful career out of it. Kayla is now headed to Mars, I'm assuming in a marketing job probably. And who knows, what's in store for you, because life is full of unexpected things that happen to you that basically change your life. And Kelly, I bet you when you went to school, you never imagined that you'd be having a career in higher education. Am I right?
I will say my very first job as a college freshman was working in the admissions office, and I worked in the undergrad admissions office for 4 years. So
and it hooked you.
It came full circle. That's right.
That's remarkable.
But isn't that how it works? We go out, we see things that going back, you said the journey. When I come down and I speak to clubs at U of I, the finance club or whatever, that's actually my stock speech is this is going to be, your first job's important, but this is going to be a journey. And so in some ways, just relax and enjoy the journey. Keep your eyes open to opportunities along the way and find what jazzes you, as well.
And I'll say this, at a time when some people actually question whether you should go to college, I want to disabuse everyone of that notion, because the greatest investment you can make in your life is an investment in yourself. And that's what college is. And, while you may think, oh, well, will I make more money? No, it's not about money. It's about making friends and about living life more fully and more meaningfully. You're going to learn to appreciate things that you never were exposed to. And it could be everything from going to a museum, listening to music, understanding history and politics and public policy. It could be understanding the mysteries of science and math. Or in the case of exploring all the different avenues in business, whether it be supply chain, marketing, strategy, consulting, finance, accounting, all these different things to explore and to open your eyes to new and wonderful possibilities for your life. That's what college is. It's not about, I'm going to help me get a job and make more money. Sure, that is probably a side benefit, but you're going to learn who you are, what you want in your life, what's important to you, and you're going to live life on multiple dimensions, not a single dimension. That, to me, is the true value of a college education. I'm sorry I had to get on the soapbox on this, but it bothers me tremendously when people say, oh, you don't have to go to college today. Yes, you do have to go to college. And a public university is an incredible choice because obviously it's much more affordable. There's a lot of scholarship money around, and you're going to meet a lot of diverse people. And that's going to really make your life all the more fulfilling than it ever could be. Hey, I want to thank each of you for joining us today. And I hope everyone out there has had a real great benefit from this. You have some parameters with which to evaluate schools and help make decisions. This should be a fun thing. It shouldn't be a pressureful thing. Any last words from any of you on how to make it more fun and less anxiety ridden? Dean?
I think it just goes back to all of this as a journey, and the decision seems really important, and it is really important decision, but let's not make it more than it is, because if you make a choice and you don't like it, that won't happen if you choose U of I, by the way. But if you make a choice and you don't like where you are, you can pivot and go somewhere else. So don't get tied up in knots about it, because maybe you're thinking about the wrong things if it's so stress creating.
And if you want an instant glimpse of community on a campus, go to a football game, go to a basketball game, and you will see it and you will feel it. You will literally feel it. Kayla, any last words to motivate our students and parents?
I would say just celebrate, take some time, take a weekend to just celebrate. I think that this is one of the most exciting times for anyone in high school. And so, yeah, enjoy it.
Okay, Kelly, your words of inspiration?
Yeah, I would echo all of the things that have been mentioned so far, and just, you know, it's one day at a time. It's riding that roller coaster of, you know, those celebrations and path curves that might happen, but just really being able to celebrate your student and appreciate them for who they are, and the opportunities that lie ahead for them.
Super. All right. Listen, thank you so much for participating today. Kelly, Dean, and Kaylee, it's been a great privilege to help orchestrate the conversation. And for all of you out there, I hope you've been inspired, motivated, psyched to go on the journey of seeking the best college experience for you. And if you are lucky enough to know what you want, and it happens to be in the field of business, a great place to start would be the Gies College of Business. Visit it. You will be really cheered by what you see. And I always say, look at how the students are reacting. Are they engaged? Are they connected? Are they smiling? Are they really having fun and enjoying themselves? And you will see that when you go to Gies. I have seen it multiple times. So I can attest to that fact. And again, one last thing I'll leave you with. The most generous gift you can give yourself in your life is a gift of a friend. The second most generous gift is a gift of higher education. This is John Byrne with Poets and Quants. Thanks for watching.